to the next generation of warfare, psychological warfare. In modern conflict, the mind is a potent weapon. Discover General Michael T. Flynn's groundbreaking guide, The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Unlock tactics, strategies, and the mindset to navigate this cognitive battlefield that we all find ourselves in. Equip yourself against manipulation and emerge unscathed. Unleash your potential. Order now.
We're good. We're live. How's it going, everybody? It's July 7th. 7-7. Roll them up, shake them up, right? Do me a solid. I'll wait for the 5x5s before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's show. I know some of you are like, Alpha. It's just Alpha. Where was the music and the teaser video? Trial ran long today. And of course, I'm rewinding to catch things to make sure I'm understanding them correctly. I'm going over my notes. And in the interest of time, because we got DEF CON that's starting in T-minus just under 2 hours, I want to fly through this to get through this stuff for you guys. So, and there's the 5x5, so we're good there, folks. Let's start off. And what are we going to cover tonight? Charlie Kirk's murder trial, day 2. I was very frustrated seeing some of my friends post on social media today, because I know they're good people and I know they mean well. But you guys just listen to these quick clips. And you don't look beyond that. There's and I hate when people say, because it's the whole white lab coat syndrome, and so I get it. Oh, doctors think they know better. So I completely understand when people try to speak from a place of authority. But I'm sorry doing it tonight. There are a bunch of people on X and Facebook and Instagram and you name the social media that they think they understand what something means. And they blow it out of proportion. The next person grabs it. Next person grabs it. Next thing you know, there's this narrative that's flying across social media that's roots come from something that just was utterly stupid. And so we're going to tackle some of those main points from day 2 of today. Shout out to Casper17 says, love Alpha Show. One of my favorites. Thank you. Casper's a cool name. Like that you did it with a K. And I like that you incorporated 17 into it. So let's get right into this. And to do that, we're going to get one of our great sponsors that takes care of us over here. And you guys should see a QR code on the screen now. Good. Okay. Patriot Cash. Yeah, who don't like free stuff? Free military bag. That's what we're talking about. All right. So I've carried a lot of bags, range bags, EDC bags, travel bags, you name it. And most of them, they look the part, but then they fall apart the second you actually put them through a work cycle. Velcro comes off. The chain zippers are just trash. You guys, there's no drainage holes on some of them. It's just, they're trash. They suck. This one's different. The Patriot Cash Tactical Shoulder Bag is running MOLLE webbing across the body, meaning you can attach pouches, clips, whatever your setup calls for. The zippers are full length, 2-way, actually smooth. Water-resistant fabric, micro mesh padding on the back so that you're not sweating through your shirt, and it's fully adjustable. Designed in the great US of A with actual military use in mind. Not just military aesthetics. Here's where it gets very interesting, folks. Right now, Patriot Cash is doing a giveaway. 500 of these bags for free. Normal retail, about $79. But you just cover the shipping, and they're stacking a Tac-Right Strike pocket knife on top of it. Razor sharp, compact, the kind of blade that actually earns a spot in your carry rotation. And that, too, is also free. So I think I've kind of oversold it, so we're going to just move on. It is a sling bag after all, but it's well-built sling bag from a company that actually gives a damn about quality. And right now, it costs you nothing but shipping, and that's a hard deal to argue with. So links down in the description, folks. GetPatriotCash.com/alpha. That's GetPatriotCache.com/alpha. Grab the bag, grab the knife, go actually use it for something. That's the whole point. And ladies, you can't go wrong by getting your guy friend, guy family member, son, husband, father, one of these. So make it happen. Again, if you're watching the replay, that link's down in the description. And if you're like, Alpha, I didn't see a QR code, shame on you, because it means that you're not watching on Rumble. And then shout out, softdisclosure.com, my Badlands family. Let's see, Maligator 1960. I only listen to AlphaWarrior and Josh Reed too. I'm not going to argue with your choices, because we've been pretty damn accurate. So with that, let's get right into this, because I got a long clip and I was kind of debating through the show. Do I show this whole one? Do I not show the whole one? And just to grab the scope of it, I am. So we're going to do a 13-minute clip. Outside of that, we're going to fire through this because I want us to leave us time to at least get to the MK Ultra before we go bingo on time. Now, that said, I wanted to get to this yesterday. We didn't because I thought this was pretty solid news. And let me zoom in just to make it a little easier for you folks that are watching this on your cell phone. And I just realized that my notes were set to the wrong page. So let me get my day 2 trial notes there. All right, now we're good. Sorry. Yeah, y'all know I got OCD, right? Everything's got to be perfect. All right, before the show starts, the pin can't be open. I got to open it during the show, that kind of stuff, whatever. U.S. Department of Justice, in a letter this week addressed to the President of the International Criminal Court, ICC, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche wrote that the Department of Justice rejects any assertion of jurisdiction by the International Criminal Court over Americans. The United States is not a party to the Rome Statute and has never consented to the ICC's authority. As a matter of international law, a treaty cannot bind a non-consenting country. Accordingly, the ICC has no jurisdiction over Americans anywhere in the world, and any attempt to assert such authority is illegitimate, unlawful, and a direct affront to the sovereignty of the United States. Now, folks, I'm going to do some more digging. I'm going to reach out to some people on this, but I was like, why the hell are they doing this right now? Is America about to take lead on a thing that is going to go against the international, the international crime syndicate? Are we going to do something that's going to create that atmosphere? And are we going to see the global New World Order, the cabal, this international crime syndicate, are we going to see them trying to attack Americans throughout the globe? I don't know. I just find this timing of this very interesting. Nonetheless, let's just forget any doom and gloom, right? This is definitely America flexing its muscles saying, you ain't going to touch our Americans. We don't consent, which is a pretty big, important ideology in our country right now, right? Consent to the governed. So anyways, I wanted to make sure that we covered that. You can get more of that at the U.S. Department of Justice's website. And from that, now let's get into day 2, Charlie Kirk. This one dragged. And this is the part of courts. There were some good arguments made by the prosecution. The defense was trying to litigate almost like a 702 style or, voir dire on some of the witnesses. And that's more of a trial type of line of questioning. But I get it. They want to drag this out. They want it to become boring. And again, they understand that this is the court of public opinion, and they are trying to make sure that there's not an indictment against their client. They want to feed enough out of context or confusing material that the Candace, Griftistan people can then run to social media and create all kinds of discord, chaos, and confusion. We ain't going to allow them to do that. So let's start off with this one. Johnny St. Pete puts out, the sheriff that asserted in Tyler Robinson's turning himself in was his former Boy Scout leader. I am noticing that the defense team wants to continually remind everyone that Tyler did this peacefully and voluntarily with his family and without the police having to come arrest him. My personal opinion is I have noticed the defense really trying to articulate that argument is I think they're trying to dodge the death penalty here, and it maybe even try to leverage a life case with a possibility of parole. Not going to happen, but I think that this is the pathway that they're going with that. Remember, they're trying to, and here he says too, they're trying to avoid the death penalty, which is why I believe she's putting the emphasis on this peaceful self-turn-in. Now, why is this interesting? Because I distinctly remembering the Candace Owens and the Ian Carrolls and all these people asserting that there's no way that it was Tyler Robinson. He didn't turn himself in. Yeah, what, knuckle, never do diligence, right? Out there made this argument. This is not him. This guy's a patsy, right? These are the arguments and confusion that these guys create. So let's just listen to the defense attorney talk about what Tyler Robinson did.
And then Mr. Robinson turned himself in. right?
Yes.
And is it your understanding that the individual they used to facilitate Mr. Robinson turning himself in was someone known to Mr. Robinson personally that had been connected to law enforcement?
I know he was known to the family. I don't know his connection specifically with Mr. Robinson, but I am aware that someone was used to facilitate Mr. Robinson turning himself in.
And were you aware that he was one of his Boy Scout leaders? Did you know that?
I think I had heard that at some point. There was a connection. I don't know specifically what it was.
And Mr. Robinson, in fact, no police went to go arrest him. He drove himself, or he was driven with his parents to the Washington County Sheriff's Department, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
And he voluntarily walked in.
That's also my understanding, yes.
And that was the first moment you ever knew his name connected with this case.
Yeah, aside from the image that we had, that was the first time that we had a name of an individual who had taken responsibility, yes.
And did you personally ever meet with Mr. Robinson?
I did not.
And as far as you know, Mr. Robinson did what he said he was going to do. He told the police he was coming peacefully, he was coming with his parents, and that's exactly what happened.
I don't know any of the specifics of how he was arranged to turn himself in. Okay. In terms of what you've described, I just know that it was being facilitated with the sheriff's office.
So again, his defense attorney in his presence is articulating that this was voluntarily. They didn't have to hunt him down. They didn't have to force him, that it was him, his scout team leader, that made this arrangement with law enforcement, and he very peacefully turned himself in. Again, to destroy the argument, for all the Candace simps that are in my audience, I love you guys, but got to call out your retardedness. To destroy the argument, she started with, there's no way it could be him. There's no way you turn him in. The timestamps don't match because people don't understand time zones, apparently. But again, this argument, dead on arrival with that testimony right there from his own attorney. Let's get to this next one. Graham Allen puts, Novak, this is one of the defense attorneys, just said the quiet part out loud. I didn't bring the Bible into this courtroom. The state did. His argument, the prosecution charged Robinson with a political expression enhancement, not a religious one. But by bringing in a pastor's statement about Charlie's Christian faith, Novak says the state is the one turning this hearing into a referendum on whether Robinson's own views and life are anti-Christian. Take a listen to this one.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to point out that this proposed exhibit, which is the 1102 statement of Mr. Engelhardt, is basically 4 paragraphs. The 4th paragraph identifies Mr. Engelhardt, although I say in the 3rd person, as a pastor and as an attorney who was a friend and a counselor to Mr. Kirk and was involved in leadership of Turning Point USA. Beyond that, it's not really relevant to any of the issues before this court. Paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 talks about Turning Point USA's status with the Internal Revenue Service, the purposes of Turning Point USA, and what I'll just refer to generically as the goals and objectives of Turning Point USA. And it also then talks about Mr. Kirk's relationship with TPUSA. None of this is unknown information, that he was a founder, that he was the chief executive officer, that he was the president of the board until his death. So I'm still not sure what the relevance is, and I guess actually what I should say is I don't believe there is any relevance of any of this information.
So again, and that is a minute 16-second clip of something that took forever in today's trial. This was just if I had hair on my head, it would have had me pulling it out. But again, where is the Candace Owens and, the hardcore Catholics and Christians that want to call out the defense team on this one like they've done everybody else? They won't. But again, this ate up a lot of time today. And I'm seeing in the chat, Little Peachy says, they have a poor defense and we should, you guys, go watch yesterday's show and watch today's show. They have a solid defense. I'm telling you, you guys are so brainwashed by social media influencers that when Tyler Robinson takes a plea deal, because if they offer him life with the possibility of parole or life without parole but no death penalty, Tyler Robinson's going to take a plea of guilty. Clip that. And even then, you guys are going to say he didn't do it. The dude can literally plead guilty, and you guys will say that that he didn't do it. However, we're going to walk through this prelim. And at the end of the week, Little Peachy and others, Little Peachy says three people in the car and one bald guy, because that's what a witness says. Let me tell you, from someone who worked law enforcement, crime scenes, homicides, attempt homicides, deadly assaults, I can go interview 5 people and 5 people will give me a different statement. Witness statements, as much as we need them, are also very unreliable, which is why you have to find evidence to support a witness statement, to corroborate what a witness is saying. One witness can say the car looks blue. The other witness out there can say the car looks purple. And what you'll see is that one witness that saw the car under a street lamp from an angle, it did look that color. Doesn't mean they're lying. It's just all about perception. Now, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but yeah, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but you guys will see this is an open shut case. The only reason there's even some hesitation here is because social media has entered the courtroom. And that's very unfortunate when it comes to justice. My brother CanCon, and you guys know I love him, and this is a perfect example of people that should call me before they post. Love you, CanCon. You text me too late. An unspent round was discovered on another building, and the lead investigator doesn't know the caliber of the unspent cartridge. Let's take a listen to this, and I'll break it down for you guys.
Off of the side of that building that had been secured by an officer.
And that building was the Low C building.
Correct.
Wasn't there also a bullet found on another building?
I believe an unfired bullet had been found on another building at some point during my time there on September 10th. Yes.
Which building was that, sir?
I'd never heard that.
I don't recall.
Was that considered a scene that was worth preserving?
It was not. My recollection is that was accounted for as an ejected cartridge from an officer who had cycled his rifle.
Okay, I thought you said it was an unfired bullet. Now you're saying it was a cartridge?
When a weapon is cleared, an officer would make his rifle ready, which would chamber around.
Oh, I got you.
My understanding was that that's how that was accounted for.
So an officer claimed that bullet belonged to him or her?
That's my recollection, is that was how it was accounted for.
And when was that accounted for?
I don't know specifically.
Do you remember what type of bullet that was?
I don't.
Was it a 30-06? Do you remember?
I don't.
Okay.
So let's break this down, right? And make sure you guys are following my brother CanCon over there on YouTube and on Rumble. I love him. But yeah, I love him. That's what I'll say. Here's the thing, folks, is for those of you that have been following this case, again, the assassination of Charlie Kirk from the beginning, and you've watched the assessments and analysis that I've done with Josh on different shows, as well as my own, as well as breaking. I think we've done one of the most thorough breakdowns of what this looks like, you know, from the shooting position, and could there be other shooters, and what were those likely places of been, and where would they have been taking place based on the area of impact on Charlie, the force and the direction that it landed his body, the fact that they were in a bowl of an amphitheater. However, within that bowl, Charlie had a banner tent that was above him. So even from an elevated position, you still don't get the entire area to aim for him, which is why you probably saw the shot that hit in the throat, which was probably being an upper thoracic, is where he was probably aiming, because he probably couldn't see Charlie's head from that angle. But again, not going to go and rehash that entire thing. And I know Little Peachy said you don't follow Candace. Unfortunately, a lot of the other people do follow Candace. And a lot of these other content creators that I'm listening to, where people get their info from, they're just regurgitating what Candace says anyways. But again, here you're going to get someone who actually has investigated homicides, someone who's been to autopsies, someone who's been to murder scenes, someone who's been shot at, someone who's shot people. You guys are going to get that in this podcast. Hopefully that allows you some confidence in the information you're going to hear tonight. But let's just keep going with this one. If you guys remember the different roofs that were there and the tree lines that were there, and again, the angle from which Charlie Kirk would have been shot, right? There's a cone area. There's only so many places that could take, that shot could come in from. The only other roof is the roof that we can clearly see, which if you're Charlie, it would have been off to his right on the top. The other ones, you had tree lines. With these over here, the angle of impact, the way it hit him, his body would have kind of had a different motion. But again, just from the sheer direction, it would have been on top of that roof. That being said, we can clearly see that roof and clearly see that there wasn't a shooter on that roof. So to bring it to what she's saying, people are saying, I'm seeing on social media, oh, they're covering it up. Let me tell you how retarded you guys sound when you say they're covering it up. Do you know why the defense attorney knows that there was a cartridge or a bullet on another roof? Not because she was climbing the roof, because it's documented in a police report. That's why. She's going through all the police reports. This is what the defense attorneys do. They go through the police reports and they try to find things where they think they can either get a I gotcha or create enough confusion or create doubt in a jury's mind. So explain to me how if it's a cover-up when it's being documented in a police report. Kind of defeats the whole concept of covering it up. 2, for those of you that have been in law enforcement and military, you know, when you go and you chamber around, you got one in there, you're going to eject one. Or again, like he said, when he was going to put them in the vehicle's condition, which is a loaded magazine, but the bolt closed and nothing in the chamber, they're going to rack that round. And sometimes you don't see where it lands. And you're just like, I'm going to write off that 20 cents to the taxpayer, right? It's the way it is, folks. Hate to break it to you. Or sometimes you eject it out and you'll go and the head gets dented or some damage happens to it. And you're not going to put that in your ammo cycle. Nonetheless, it's not uncommon at all. And again, this is one piece of information that when you zoom out and you look at the totality of everything we've heard from day 1 and now day 2, there's no way you can come to the assumption that it wasn't him, because there's literally video, which I told you guys. This goes all the way back to last year when everybody says, why are they just showing him running across the roof? Why don't they show him when he's in the prone? I said, because if they do that now, that is definitely going to contaminate the jury pool. They understand that. Now, within the prelim, I still actually would have waited till trial to show it, but I get what they're trying to do here. But they show it, and we're going to get to that. So I'm going to play this. It's 13 minutes, and this is the video that I told you was in controversy yesterday, where they were like, well, we're not going to, the judge, this is the one where I said there was kind of a win for the defense because the judge said, hey, we don't have the raw footage. You guys heard the argument that I made yesterday, the statement that I made yesterday. So now we get to see that footage where they went and brought in the unedited version so that we can see it. And let's see, TMBT says, we have not seen the 4K video. Most of the good stuff is going to be in trial, but they're showing us enough to create the public indictment right now. I actually think that they've shown, from an investigator standpoint, if you're trying to do this for the purposes of the court of public opinion, yeah, I see what they're doing. And the case is pretty solid. And I actually do think that they anticipate that Tyler Robinson's going to enter a plea. And I think they're confident of that. I think that's where they're showing a little bit more than they should. I can tell you right now, as a case agent, I'd be arguing with the DA prosecutor right now. Like, what do you mean? Don't show that. Save it for trial. But here we go. 13 minutes. And let me bring it. This one comes from Andrew Colvett. He says the video compilation exhibit 12.4 of Tyler Robinson visiting UVU campus 4 times on September 10th. The last visit, stretching into the early morning hours of 9/11, will be submitted as evidence and broadcast to the media. Here's the video. When you watch it, you understand why the defense fought so hard against allowing it to be seen to the public. Now, there are some video clips that are segments from this that I'm going to cover after this, but I want you guys to see this uninterrupted with the testimony and stuff that was going on in the court because it's important. But one of the things I want you guys to pay attention to is in the stairwell, pay attention to how he's walking. And I'm going to provide you an analysis in another video that someone did that I think is going to provide some explanation. But honestly, folks, I don't know after you see this how you can still make an argument. And we're going to have more information. So with that, let me bring this up on the screen. And I'll see you guys in 13 minutes.
Let's go ahead and put it on all screens. No, I appreciate it is so it is admitted and may be published to the screens. And just want to make sure it's on your screen, Agent. All right. Mr. Sturgill, you may proceed.
Appreciate that, Judge. Thank you. Go ahead. Okay, what are we seeing here, Agent Hall?
That's the vehicle that is believed to belong to Mr. Robinson arriving in the parking garage on campus.
At what time in the morning? What time of the day?
It's approximately 8:30 in the morning on September 10th, 2025.
And what leads you to believe that this particular vehicle belongs to Mr. Robinson?
Information that was provided regards to driver's license and Department of Motor Vehicle records. The vehicle fits the description of a vehicle owned by Mr. Robinson.
Is there anything unique about that vehicle that stands out to you?
The shape of the vehicle is very distinct, but predominantly the wheels were very distinctive on this version of the vehicle.
Now what do we see?
The driver of the vehicle exits the vehicle and then walks on foot to exit the parking garage. It's the individual in the red T-shirt and the shorts and the shoes.
And do you believe you recognize who that person is?
Yes.
Who is that?
I believe that's Tyler Robinson.
All right, and where does he go from there?
He heads out of the parking garage on foot into the campus and actually goes to the quad area of the campus. At that time, he makes contact with some representatives from TPUSA.
By quad area?
Sorry, the amphitheater is what I've previously referred it to.
All right. So he goes up on campus, visits the amphitheater area, the courtyard or quad.
Correct.
And then what do we see here now?
He returns on foot back to the same vehicle.
And what time is he returning back to the vehicle?
It's about 9:25 a.m.
And where is this parking structure located on campus?
It's just off of Campus Drive. It's a short walk from the amphitheater.
What do we see now?
That's the vehicle exiting with Mr. Robinson driving the vehicle.
Now what do we see?
This is Mr. Robinson returning to the campus on foot from the neighborhood to the northeast. You can see he's wearing the same clothing as in the previous video. And he's carrying a blue backpack.
Describe the clothing.
It's a maroon colored t-shirt with gray or olive colored shorts and then Converse shoes.
And what time did he return to campus?
Just after 10 a.m.
And does he leave the parking structure eventually?
He does, yes.
Okay. And during this visit, do you know where he goes after he leaves the parking structure?
Yes, we were able to track his movements on campus. He went to Chick-fil-A in the Sorensen building and purchased some food, sat and ate the food. Then, I'm sorry.
Where did he purchase the food from?
Chick-fil-A in the Sorensen Center.
And where is that in relation to the amphitheater or the courtyard?
It's kind of on the northeast side of the amphitheater. It would be on the upper back edge of the amphitheater, furthest away from where the tent was that Mr. Kirk was in.
And from there, where does he go?
From there, he moves across campus, out across Campus Drive into a wooded area on what would be kind of the northeast side of Campus Drive. Then returns back onto campus. We noticed at this point that he's no longer carrying the backpack that he was originally wearing. He moves through the Gunther building and the computer science building. And then, I'm sorry?
And then goes where?
Then goes across to the railing that gives access to the roof of the Losi building.
From there?
From there, he comes back down the stairs and walks off campus from that point.
And about what time was that he left campus that second time? Do you know?
I believe it was approximately 11 a.m. or just after, if I recall. I could verify from my notes if you need an exact time.
Yeah, if you don't mind. That'll help you remember, refer to it. Don't read it out loud. Just let me know when you've had a chance to look at that, would you? Were you able to refresh your memory as far as the time?
I was, yes.
And what time was it?
It was just prior to 11 a.m. when he walked off campus.
Okay. And before we go any further, the parking structure that he left initially, where is that parking structure in relation to the LDS Institute building?
I'm sorry, in relation to?
The LDS Institute building on campus?
I think it would be just to the north of the LDS Institute building, if I recall.
Do you recall whether it was adjacent to the LDS Institute?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. What do we see displayed here now? Go ahead.
This is a video of Mr. Robinson returning back to campus the same way that he did previously on foot.
And this takes just a moment. And why, well, let me ask you this. You believe this is Mr. Robinson returning to campus?
I do, yes.
Okay. And why do you believe it's Mr. Robinson?
The shoes are the same, and the images that we have are from my viewing and seeing Mr. Robinson on the video, it's the same person.
He's noticeably wearing different clothing.
He is wearing different clothing, and he also is walking with a gait or a limp in this video.
With a gait or what?
A limp.
Okay. Now what do we see?
So this is Mr. Robinson coming up the stairs of the parking structure. Again, he seems to be having issues walking.
And again, were you able to track Mr. Robinson when he leaves this parking structure?
Yes, we were able to.
Okay. So when he leaves the parking structure, where does he go?
He comes up around Campus Drive, as you can see on the video here. There is a cut through there north of the Losi building, and that's Mr. Robinson coming up the sidewalk. He has the noticeable gait or limp in his walk. And then he moves south across the front of the Losi building.
On the sidewalk?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
He would be the rear of the two individuals in this particular video.
All right. So right now, if you were to break this picture into quadrants, where would he be?
He would be in the top left quadrant, walking to the left of the image.
Now what do we see?
This is an image looking across the parking lot to the Losi building, and Mr. Robinson is appearing on the exterior staircase, which gives access to the Losi building roof and the area where the railing was.
And again, let's break that image into quadrants. Where would he be located if you broke it into quadrants?
It's in the top right, and the individual can be seen moving under the notations that are on the video.
Okay. And what time is this?
It's just afternoon, about 12:15.
On what day?
On September 10th, 2025.
Okay. What just happened, or what did we just see happen?
The individual actually kind of rolls over the railing onto the roof of the Losi building.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
And again, in the top left corner, the individual is now seen running across the rooftop of the Losi building to what would be the southwest corner of the building, crouching down and then crawling to the corner of the building.
And this is at what time?
Around 12:23. I think the timestamp on the video is 12:22.
On the 10th.
On September 10th, yes, 2025.
So we're clear, this is the roof of the Losi building.
Correct.
Can you still see that individual?
Yes, you can, laying prone.
You believe this to be Mr. Robinson?
I'm sorry?
You believe this to be Mr. Robinson?
I do, yes.
And how long is he out there on the edge of the building?
Just until the reported shot was fired at 12:23 and 28. The individual then stands up and then moves across the building to the north.
Is that what we're seeing happening right now?
It is, yes. And they move behind the atrium area on the rooftop to the northeast corner where the white triangle is.
Do you see Mr. Robinson now?
I do, yes. He's just arriving at the corner of the building, almost the top center of the image.
What are we seeing now?
And Mr. Robinson lowering and jumping off of the roof of the Losi building onto the grass area, and then moving away towards Campus Drive. And he appears to be carrying some kind of an object in his hand at this time.
So he's approaching,
Campus Drive.
and again, broken into quadrants. Where is he currently?
Be in the top right quadrant.
And the time?
It's 12:24 and 42 on the timestamp.
What do we see now?
He then crosses Campus Drive and drops down into the wooded area on the far side of Campus Drive.
And that is located in what part of the video? What quadrant?
It would have been just off center on the top left side.
What do we see now?
This is the intersection of Campus Drive and 800 South. There's a vehicle attempting to turn right onto Campus Drive. That's the vehicle that's driven by Mr. Robinson.
And on the screen, where is that vehicle that you're referring to located, if you broke it into quadrants?
It's on the left side, on the upper side, the upper quadrant.
Now what do we see?
That vehicle's now pulling away and heading east on 800 South.
All right, let me get myself back in here. Give me 1 second while I pull this off, folks. So again, and I dropped the link from the show that we did on DEFCON shortly thereafter the assassination of Charlie Kirk, where we broke it down, showed 3D imagery. I got a bias, but I think it's one of the best, if not the best, breakdowns, because it doesn't rely on much speculation. There is some speculation there, but the majority of it's based off of the factual information we had at the time. And I want to remind everybody, when we did that breakdown, that was in September. If I remember correctly, either the end of September, maybe no, I want to say it was the end of September when we did that one. Matter of fact, I'll tell you guys right now. Let me pull that one up. That was on September 16th. So 6 days afterwards is when we broke down that assessment. Then heads up, there's graphic footage in that for you. I don't like to see that. I know some of you are like, it's hard to see. So the skiff here has a version of the zoomed in areas so you guys can better see this. The skiff puts new security footage from the Tyler Robinson trial shows Robinson going up the roof, getting in the prone position and crawling to the edge of the low-C building to where the shot was allegedly taken, then jump up from the prone position after the shot and run to the other side of the building and jump down. This is the first time we've seen Tyler Robinson crawling to the sniper position in the prone position on the low-C building. There is also video of Robinson at UVU multiple times, and this is the last time with a very noticeable limp walking up the steps to the top of the low-C building to set up before the alleged shot. Now, again, you have Candace Owens and the Simp crew that say there's no way he was ever at the campus. You literally have multiple surveillance videos showing him at the campus, his vehicle at the campus, makes contact with an officer who gets the partial plate, then recognizes him. That guy. So the argument A, that he was never at the campus, that's done with this video. The argument before that, he was never the one that turned himself in. His defense attorney right next to him is articulating that argument. So again, This preliminary hearing is destroying all the bullshit narratives that have been out there. Now, for those that are like, but Alpha, this is about a 1/4-inch person that's on that footage. Like, how do you know? One, there's going to be more camera footage that's going to be released at trial. But here's the way you figure this out. The stairwell, everything's on these systems, these closed camera system networks. Everything is time-stamped. So as you see him go into the parking lot, there's a timestamp. Then he walks to the parking structure, corroborated by a timestamp. Then he goes to a staircase, corroborated by a timestamp, enters the staircase, comes out of the staircase, corroborated by a timestamp. That timestamp and that staircase puts him at the location where he's going to the roof. So by the series of following his actions, you know that this is the person that's there. From that point, and we're going to get into the DNA, but from that point, he goes, rolls over the railing, then comes over, runs across the roof, gets into the prone position. He's in the prone position until the shot is fired, corroborated again by timestamps, gets up, runs across the atrium, gets to the corner of the building, jumps down. They have DNA from the corner of the building from where he jumps down. Then, and like I said, we're going to get into all this stuff, but just know, and this doesn't even include, because they haven't brought it up yet, this doesn't even include the tracking that they're going to have the pings off of his cell phone that he had with them or smartwatch that he had with them. So that the electronic footprint that's going to follow him is also going to be used. And I would imagine that's not something they're going to bring up in prelim, but if this was to go to trial, this is something that's definitely going to be brought up in trial. But let's just play this part real quick so you guys can see it. Follow the little red arrow. Hold on, let me mute this. So he's running across. You see him right there. And now you're going to see him get into the prone. And now you see him crawling in the prone. Gets to that corner spot. Proned out. This is terrible. Again, just keep following the arrow. He's now on the shooting platform. Time on the screen on the upper left, if you're not paying attention, is 12, 22, 56, 57, 58, 59, 12, 23. This is the last minutes. Charlie Kirk's life. Now he's shots fired. He's up and he's running. Keep following the arrow. He's going to run behind the atrium. You're going to see him come across on the other side. You guys are all familiar with this video. And so again, this stuff is corroborated by the timestamps. For those that say it ain't possible, but let's keep going. Actually, I believe this is going to be covered in the next clip. Yes. So this one comes from Matt Finn. FNC says, new video of what law enforcement officers testifying is Tyler Robinson walking up with a limp on the UVU campus on the day of Charlie Kirk's murder shortly before the assassination. Is being suggested that he's walking with a limp because of the possible gun or gun parts in his pants. I agree with this. We said this back then on the assessment of how he got the rifle up there. But the simp crew now is shifting their narrative from he was never there to that's not him, that can't be him, that guy's over 6 feet tall, the guy that we're seeing in the video surveillance, right? And to show you this argument, I believe I have, let me just get ahead of ourselves a little bit here. This is what Candace Owens freaking out. Confirm that Tyler Robinson is just 5'10". Tons of ways to do analysis of a person's height walking up the staircase. Can guarantee you it will not get done by the public. So let's go back to this video, right? Going the wrong direction, right here. And so right here he comes up. I'm going in slow motion. It's going to mess up his walk a little bit. But again, not taller than this guy. There they are on the same step. But more importantly, here comes a girl. And you can tell right here before she steps down, roughly her height. And right there, both on the same step right there, roughly about the same height, 5'8" to 5'10". This is not someone that is over 6 feet tall. And that's just using a general assessment of looking at it with two people that walk past him. But now, again, let me mute this one. Pay attention to his gait as he comes up the steps. And you're seeing how he doesn't have the flexibility in that leg right there as he's trying to favor it as he comes up. I'm talking about his right leg. And that's why he's leading with the left one. And why? Because chances are he has the stock broken down on this side, if not the whole system, and maybe even the upper barrel side on his left side going up into his armpit. And again, there's a video I'm going to have for you guys that just breaks this down. And again, there you see that walk. Now, you saw the way he was walking with shorts, had a perfectly fine walk. There was nothing unnatural to his gait. Now he puts on jeans. Why does he put on jeans? One, to conceal that he's hiding the weapon there. Again, his vehicle, timestamps, CC footage. Again, for those of you that still want to maintain it's not him, either you're being foolish, you have an agenda, or you're just plain stubborn, and that's okay. So now I want to play this video for you. Make America Logical Again says, after seeing the bombshell footage of Tyler Robinson limping up the staircase with the alleged rifle down his pants, it's important to revisit Matt Kester's amazing demonstration of how this was possible. Yes, you can, of course, still bend your knee slightly, and you do not have to detach the scope. Completely consistent what we witness in the release footage. Bad day for the Tyler Robinson deniers. And I'm going to play this clip for you guys. Not very long. It's about 2 minutes or so. So here you go.
In the photo, you can start to see an outline of the stock, okay? This has solved the riddle that has been bugging me the whole time about the bulk of the stock. Essentially, I believe now with 90-something% certainty that the stock was carried this way and the barrel was carried on the side. Now, whether or not the scope came off or not, that's an item for debate, and we can talk about the ramifications of that later. But I think with certainty, or you can't be certain about anything, but I think as close as we can be to certain, this is how this was carried. And I'm gonna let this guy demonstrate. We're also gonna go out in the stairwell, shoot a little video of him walking in the stairs so you can see that it was possible to climb the stairs like this. So, go ahead. That's why I think he hooked it underneath his armpit. Kept his arm straight down, because if you see when he walks, he doesn't have his hands in his pockets. They're out. Keep your hands out. All right, now walk towards me. Or walk that way. Huh? That's the skinniest pair of jeans you own?
I don't have fucking skinny jeans, man.
Oh, all right. All right, walk back down and then I'll get up on the other side.
Did he ever use the railing at all or not?
I've seen him with his hands on the hand railing, yeah. All right, let's try it.
So again, folks, demonstrations. I saw someone on YouTube. Alpha's got a normie take. No, I've actually investigated homicides. I've spent the last 2/3 of my life with weapon systems, from fully automatics, semi-automatics. I was on a tactical team. This is exactly what I've done my entire life is break these things down. So it's not called a normie take, it's called evidence. And if you want to argue, you don't have to take my word for it. You've seen the surveillance footage. You see the timestamps. You want to argue with that? It's not about being normie. It's about just not having any more discernment. But let's keep going. We got a show to do. Graham Allen puts the murder weapon investigator testifies about the rifle round wrapped in a towel near the campus. Let's take a listen.
Are there other areas there at Utah Valley University that were also processed for the presence of evidence?
Yes, there was.
Is there a wooded area that's northeast of campus?
Yes.
What was found in that wooded area?
What was found there was a long gun that was wrapped in a dark colored towel.
And you say a long gun. What does that mean, a long gun?
Sorry, that would be a rifle. So to be more specific, it was a Mauser 98 rifle.
Do you know what caliber that was?
It was retrofitted to a 30-06 barrel.
And do you know what kind of action that had? Was that a semi-automatic, automatic, bolt action?
It was a bolt action.
What is a bolt action rifle?
I'm not too familiar with guns, but I just know there's a bolt and you have to pull it back.
Okay. And what was done with that weapon and that towel?
It was documented in place, and then afterwards we rendered that gun safe and then packaged the gun as well as the towel.
What was done with the towel after it was packaged?
The towel was also provided to the FBI.
The gun, what was done with the gun?
The gun was packaged. It was taken to FBI custody, then eventually it was provided to the ATF lab.
So I see conversations about the 30-06. Folks, again, we're going to need more information on the bullet. Was it low recoil? Was it soft tip? What was it? There's a lot that goes into it. And two, there are multiple other murders and assassinations where somebody has been shot with a 30-06 MLK, for example, and there's no exit wound. Again, I stand by my assessment that he was wearing a front plate carrier shirt and that it hit there, and that's that ricochet, because the entrance wound to his neck doesn't look like an entrance wound. It looks like an exit wound, and that's why I've always had the claim, and I'm sticking to it until we actually get more information or until they finally make the autopsy report and what he was found wearing, until they finally disclose that in whole. I'm still sticking to my assessment that he had a front plate carrier and that 30-06 round hit right there, and either shrapnel from the plate, because if you go watch the videos that I did in that assessment, I show people shooting the outer perimeter of a plate carrier and what it does in the direction that the fragments go. So I think it was either a fragment or fragments of the bullet, or the bullet and part of the plate carrier combined that made that entrance wound, and still had the bullet that, part of the trajectory that went in there. Again, I don't think it was a direct shot to the neck. That's my assessment. Again, I'm willing to share or change that opinion if the autopsy report comes out with some more information. But based off what we have right now, I'm sticking with it. And again, folks, yes, there is videos that show his face. And two, the part that we're all just kind of forgetting about is he turned himself in. Three, the DNA, which is what we're going to start talking about right now. I believe that one to continue. Here we go. BlakeNet puts, the DNA expert says, now for all my Q family that's out there, the DNA expert says that the DNA results are, ready for it, 1.7 octillion times more likely if Twiggs and Tyler Robinson are contributors than Twiggs and an unknown, unrelated person as contributors. And I'll play the clip so you guys can understand it a little bit better.
Male DNA was obtained from item 7 sub 1. Item 7 sub 1 was interpreted as originating from two individuals, one of whom is Twiggs. The DNA results from item 7 sub 1 and what are 1.7 octillion times more likely if Twiggs and T. Robinson are contributors than if Twiggs and an unknown, unrelated person are contributors. Male DNA was obtained from item 8 sub 1. Item 8 sub 1 was interpreted as originating from two individuals, one of whom is Twiggs. The DNA results from item 8 sub 1 are 30 quintillion times more likely if Twiggs and T. Robinson are contributors than if Twiggs and an unknown, unrelated person are contributors.
Do you know if Lance Twiggs's DNA was obtained for comparison in this test?
Yes, it was.
And how was that DNA obtained?
It was obtained by law enforcement officers.
So again, one of the things that people are having hiccups on, as a matter of fact, let me see, I might even have it from CanCon on here. I played this clip for you guys, or not played it, but talked about it. We got Robinson, all right, because I know CanCon even had issue with it. He's just like, well, on this one, it shows, that the threshold here didn't meet it. Again, let me create this example for you guys. Because people are focusing on, again, taking things out of context. And again, I don't think CanCon's doing this on purpose. I think he just doesn't understand it, as well as the other people that are sharing his opinion that's now taking off like a freaking forest fire. She has multiple things to rely on to create her expert opinion. For example, let's just say we find a shoe, and then we submit that shoe for a DNA test. And other comparisons, moldings and such. And all of a sudden we see the sole of the shoe, and the sole of the shoe matches the imprint at the crime scene with a 99.9% match. We're like, awesome. And then let's just say there's some threading from the shoelace that came off at the crime scene. And they do a material comparison of that and what's found at the crime scene. And it's a 99.9% match. We're like, damn, this is definitely the suspect shoe. And then we go and we find a piece of the rubber part. Some of the shoes have little rubber on the front sole. We find a little piece of rubber at the crime scene. We compare it, and that comes back with only 5% accuracy. And then we only focus on that piece and say, oh, it's only 5% accuracy. That this, all of a sudden, this DNA is not as reliable. And then the person who did the test, the analysis of the shoe, says, no, I didn't rely on that part because the threshold was so low, but I had multiple other aspects of this that together allowed me to form my expert opinion. Yeah, this is the shoe that was at the crime scene. That's essentially what's happened here with the DNA, and what she's explaining, that all these other thresholds were so high that it's a match, that it's the likelihood is, 1.7 octillion, that this one part, since it has a low threshold, is irrelevant because I have more to support it. That's essentially what's happening here. But people just want to say, they want to focus on just that one part, saying, and D Patriot says, can a shoe be worn by someone else? Yes, I'm just using the shoe as an example. This had nothing to do with the shoe. This is something that makes it easier for people to understand. So, and then breaking down DNA and breaking down the thresholds and all that stuff, right? Because I'll confuse myself even with that. The point being made is there were more than enough thresholds that showed beyond a reasonable doubt that that's his DNA. And that's why she formed that expert opinion. 2, they're trying to say, well, no, she had this opinion at first, and then she changed it later. Okay, you're not talking about why she changed it. Well, let's talk about why she changed it. Because you have Lance, right? The boyfriend. What, I don't even know what's not trans or whatever. What is Lance Twiggs, right? Tyler Robinson's boyfriend. All of a sudden, Lance provides a DNA sample. So now with this DNA sample, she's able to grab it, go put it in that same model of comparison to remove the match that's to his to see what's left. And when she does that, all of a sudden what's left shows a super high probability that the remaining part was indeed Tyler Robinson. So furry, thank you. That's the word I was looking for, ND Patriot 83. Thank you. Weird that you knew that, but I ain't judging you. Just kidding. But the point that I'm trying to make is that there was a very logical and scientific reason for her changing her opinion on one of her reports, because she had more information to support that. But you're not seeing anybody going out there providing the context of why that there was a change, providing the context to the other thresholds that she used to measure to come up with her expert opinion. There's no way you can watch the entire trial like I did and not walk away and be like, that woman knows her shit. Like, she was good. She was good. I'm going to tell you that. There's a lot of, for those of you that, I guess you could say luckily enough, have never had to be part of, a process where it includes, the DNA and the science of these trials. A lot of these people aren't, I'm just going to say it, I'm going to offend some people, but a lot of them are just kind of the weird ass nerds. and they don't really have a good public persona. And you always something like that, someone's persona and the way they talk can throw off the jury, right? But in this case, she has a very public persona, and she was able to articulate her job very well without sounding like a weird nerd, right? So she was a great expert that they went with. They got somebody, Lonesome Few just said, Twiggy, y'all just bad, man, bad. But there also is some information. Might as well get to it. Let's see. Well, obviously, Donald Trump Jr. puts out fact. Tyler Robinson was at the Utah Valley University campus 4 times between September 10th and the early hours of September 11th, 2025. One of the things that we learned in today's footage, for those of you, again, that weren't able to watch it, is one of the security officers in that late video. This is when we get to the 4th contact with Tyler Robinson, sees that vehicle, sees it's kind of suspicious, makes contact with it, and ends up talking to Tyler Robinson. At the time, Tyler Robinson's name is not known. So as he's talking to this guy, something just seems weird. So as Tyler Robinson drives off, the officer does the good thing and grabs the license plate. So then the following hours that come, and they all of a sudden they have a name, and the picture comes out. This guy's like, I talked to that guy last night. This is how we are able to get that footage and get to that 4th point. And again, that partial license plate comes back to Tyler Robinson. He's able to identify it through DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle records that come back to Tyler Robinson and another registered owner, RO, on the vehicle. So again, 4 times that he comes back to that scene. Joe Redden puts out, so now we've seen in open court video of Tyler arriving, video of Tyler walking with the rifle in his pant leg, video of, and what I would modify that to say, video of Tyler walking with a very suspicious gait, and it's a gait that aligns with somebody who had either an entire rifle or a rifle broken down into 2 parts in his leg by seeing in that demonstration. So I would modify that part that he said, because we don't actually see the rifle there. Video of Tyler pulling the rifle out, which you see that part in the rooftop video. Video of Tyler aiming and shooting. That will be coming. We haven't seen that yet. Video of Tyler lowering himself, jumping off the roof. Video of Tyler running. We do that. Now, again, you can say, yes, we saw him aiming and shooting because he positions himself on the roof. But I would just reword it for the purposes of law enforcement, taking a shooting position and firing. Aiming means he's looking into the scope and all that. And the quality of video we have right now doesn't show us that he's looking into the scope. It does tell us that he takes the shooting position. And from that, we can articulate, because the round hit Charlie, that he was aiming for Charlie, right? But again, we're going to need more video, which I think will come later with that. And then the last one, this gets reported by Erica, California 47. Just now, Lance Twiggs' DNA was an assistant contributor on the towel and screwdriver. Lance Twiggs is expected to testify on behalf of the state against Tyler Robinson with the offer of limited immunity. If this happens, I would be willing to bet the house that there's going to be a plea. If Lance comes out and becomes a cooperating suspect, and if granted the fact that they're using limited immunity, that's what I'm saying. If he becomes a suspect witness, Tyler Robinson's going to enter a plea. That is what I see coming down the chain, should that happen. If Lance Twiggs doesn't testify in the prelim, then I think that whatever time frame they have between now and trial, I think the defense is going to weigh in to see how the next few days go. What does the public indictment look like? Do they believe that enough doubt was sown from the prelim into the public that they're going to go and try to go the distance? My personal opinion, as it stands from day 2, again, this can change as the prelim goes on. My stance on day 2, this doesn't ever go to trial. They will drag this out between now and the alleged trial dates that will be continued. They will drag it out as long as they can, just to force the DA, the prosecutors, to give them a deal that is not the death penalty, essentially, is what we come down to. And I believe the Utah has firing squad. Somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But again, that kind of, let me just go through the notes. I think that sums up pretty much day 2. We covered the Tyler Robinson police contact. Let's see. So when Miss Nestor, she's the defense attorney, when she went up there, she said, did you give permission for the tent to be removed? So I want to cover these because these are important. This is when she's talking to SBI Agent Hull, the guy that has the accent. Now, if you guys remember, over the last few weeks, there was all this stuff. A guy came out, and I immediately called bullshit on it. Guy comes out and he says, I talked to these two people that hired me for this, and they told me that they talked to the FBI and the governor, and that the orders to redo the grass and repavement came from them. And I said, bullshit, because they had no jurisdiction over that. Two, for those that don't know and didn't watch the other shows that I did, once we leave a crime scene, we no longer have any standing over that. If we want to come back and do something and we don't have consent, we got to get a warrant to do that. So essentially, once we leave a crime scene, that belongs to the owner of that property. So in this state, in this situation, it would be the state or whoever's in charge of the campus. That's who runs it. Has nothing to do. So again, the defense attorney asked the case agent, right, the guy that would be making this decision. She goes, did you give permission for the tent to be removed or for the pavement to be worked over? And he says, no, I was not involved with that. It had nothing to do with us. So again, that's put to rest. Because remember, if they're lying on the stand, that's perjury. And then, of course, the Tyler Robinson voluntarily turned himself in. So we covered that. We covered the unfired bullet. Let's see. And then, of course, I talked about the Tyler Robinson's Novak attorney, the one that took forever, because the issue was Exhibit 5.1 and had to do with the fourth paragraph that was written by the pastor. And in that fourth paragraph, it kind of articulated information that went into Charlie Kirk's, religious stance. And they were making the argument that, this is going to take it from political to religious. It's going to, it's going to be an issue. I completely, think they spent too much time on it, but it is what it is. And again, Tyler Robinson's DNA on the screwdriver, Tyler Robinson's DNA on the long gun, Tyler Robinson's DNA on the part of the building where he jumped down, amongst other places. So I think for day 2, that's a recap. Again, tomorrow we'll do a recap of day 3. And hopefully I'm keeping you guys up to speed on what's going on. So from that, now let's shift into the MK Ultra, because we're just under an hour before DEF CON. I'm going to probably take us to about 7:15 my time or 10:15 East Coast. So we're rocking a little bit over. We're about 35 minutes. I at least want to cover the MK Ultra part. Rep Anna Paulina Luna. And just for you guys to know, why is this MK Ultra part so important to me? Because do I think Tyler Robinson's a shooter? Absolutely. Do I think he acted alone? Absolutely. But I put a little asterisk there. I think Tyler Robinson is the victim of the modern day MK Ultra, which is done through the programming, the social programming. There's a digital footprint that we all have. There's predictive analytics that we have. We know that the military has used it in foreign countries. And I think that they bring these things together to put things into people's purview, social media, phone, ads, whatever the case may be, people that they meet to influence them, that drives them to the ideology where they do something like this. They don't know how to know the specific person, but if they target a specific demographic of people, they know that the likelihood, again, predictive analytics is going to tell them the likelihood is very high that these people, given this information, these headlines, this propaganda, one of them is going to react in an extremist way because they meet the profile for someone that's going to do that. So again, do I think he's the solo shooter? Yes, with an asterisk, because I think this goes into MK Ultra, which is why this part was so important for me to cover. And we'll cover this over the next few weeks. What does the CIA, Nazi, Germany, and the Nuremberg trials all have in common? MK Ultra. I'll be meeting with German Parliament tomorrow to identify and locate victims of MK Ultra buried in Germany at the hand of the U.S. government. Let's take a listen to Anna Paulina Luna.
Operation Paperclip brought over 1,600 German scientists into the United States government after World War II, including individuals who had conducted human experimentation in concentration camps. The CIA and military were aware of their backgrounds and recruited them anyways. In your research, did you find direct documentation between Paperclip scientists and the development of MK Ultra's experimental protocols, specifically the use of mescaline, hypnosis, and sensory deprivation, which were techniques also documented at Dachau?
Absolutely. Kirk Blome, who was the chief of Biological weapons development for the Nazi government came to work for the CIA. So did Walter Schreiber, who was the Surgeon General of the Nazi Army. I can just tell a brief story. When I was researching my book, I found what I think might be the first secret CIA prison or black site. It's a nice chalet in Germany. And the guy who now owns it took me into the basement. He said these were the cells where the MK Ultra officers, working side by side with Nazis, carried out those gruesome experiments, which were actually just continuations of the experiments that those Nazis had been conducting just a few years earlier right down the road.
Just for timeline and clarification, these experiments were happening after the Nuremberg trials, correct? So the CIA would have known that these were crimes against humanity.
I looked for an episode in which the Nuremberg doctrines were posted on the wall in some MK Ultra or CIA office, and I was never able to find any indication that those Nuremberg principles ever were even consulted, much less obeyed.
Thank you.
They're setting these conversations up for something that's very important. So now we're going to double tap on this conversation because Anna Paulina Luna goes and posts this video of RFK Jr. during a podcast interview he did with Sean Ryan. And she puts, listen to what RFK has to say about MK Ultra, but don't just listen to what he has to say about MK Ultra. Listen to what he's about to say about something that I've been talking about before anybody. And I got the posts. I have them here to show you guys. This goes back to 2023 and 2022. And even if I want to keep digging to 2021 when I was talking about this stuff. This is going to start to surface, folks, and it's a good thing and it's important. But aside from MK Ultra, I want to see if you guys can catch what else RFK says here. That's very important. D-Patriot, I agree with you. I can't stand Sean Ryan either right now. But aside from the point, information is information. And here's some information, whether it's malinformation, disinformation, misinformation, we got to hear the information and then, do the assessment analysis to see what it is. But again, listen to what RFK is seeing here and the fact that Anna Paulina wanted us to hear it. So she reposted it to make sure for those of us that don't follow Sean Ryan, don't miss out on what's being said here. So let's take a listen. Heartbreaking to imagine the amount of information that RFK Jr. is privy to and probably wants to just drop the hammer on these people. But he's got to go along with the timeline because it's what's going on is bigger than him, bigger than his family name. And I think he's a man that understands that. I do want to say shout out to Doc P Iowa out there on YouTube who sent us a stay hydrated turtle drinking with the jug. Coolest thing. I've never seen that before. And I was able to grab it before it disappeared. So shout out Doc P over there in Iowa for dropping that on YouTube. I love the emblem that you have right there too. Very cool. If you missed it, he brought up the Smith-Mundt Act. And I would kind of just add the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which is what happened under Obama's administration. And I'm going to get into that right here. Just so you know what I'm talking about. And again, this is from December 31st, 2023. And this is not one of the first ones that I did, but this is 3 years ago, folks. 3 years ago. What if illegals were being bussed into America for the purposes of starting a false flag civil war? Few actual Americans involved, but enough media clips to push a narrative. Can the media lie like this? Know what the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act under Barack Obama was and is? And I'm going to bring your attention to, if you go and you look up the document, you go to the last paragraph, this is the information I want you guys to read. And I have it highlighted here. Not to be construed to prohibit the department from engaging in any medium of information on the presumption that a U.S. domestic audience may be exposed to the program material. Long story short on what this is like RFK Jr. was saying, we used to deploy propaganda all over the world. Well, in the age of technology and the interwebs, all of a sudden it was like, well, now because Americans have access to these other parts of the world through the internet and such, this means that now we're going to be propagandizing our own people, and that would be against the law. So they created the Modernization Act, which removed that safety for the purposes of technology that evolved, that they can do that now, but they can't do it to target. There's the caveat, right? They can't do it to target Americans their targeted group has to be allegedly, anyone other than Americans, but that's an easy workaround, right? Because you can make up any excuse that you're targeting. But again, here we are, and there's subsection 2 that applies from the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, again, from December of 2023, but we're not done. I'm going to read this to you because it is important. I'll figure as we go if I need to do the whole thing, because it is very long. In the U.S., is the U.S. government quietly shaping your opinions? And just for the record, this is also from, I'll tell you it's long. This is from October of 2024. And I'll probably just read the beginning part of it, but I'll drop the link for those of you that do want to read it. Is the U.S. government quietly shaping your opinions? The hidden power of the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act. In recent years, there has been growing concern over where the U.S. government is quietly shaping narratives that influence not only foreign audiences, but also U.S. citizens. At the heart of this debate is H.R. 5736, Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. This law, an update to the original United States Information Education Exchange Act of 1948, was designed to adapt public diplomacy to the realities of the digital age. But as media landscapes evolve, many worry that the Modernization Act may be exploited to influence Americans in ways the law was never intended to allow. Imagine that. The original Smith-Mundt Act strictly prohibited government-produced propaganda content from being distributed within the U.S. to prevent the U.S. of domestic propaganda. However, the Modernization Act of this lifted those restrictions, allowing content meant for foreign audiences to be made available to Americans through platforms like Twitter, X, Facebook, YouTube, and other media outlets. As a result, there's a rapidly growing concern that while intended for foreign diplomacy, government-created media could find its way into American homes, subtly shaping opinions, beliefs, or even votes. Look at this Tyler Robinson trial for a prime example. What is the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act? The original Smith, and we kind of recapped that. I'm going to go with that again. Can the government target foreigners living in the U.S.? One of the less discussed aspects of the Modernization Act is that it allows the government to legally target foreign nationals living in the U.S. Since these individuals are considered a foreign audience, the government can disseminate information to them using domestic platforms like radio, television, and social media. However, because platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, X, are widely used by both foreign nationals and American citizens alike, there's no effective way to ensure that the only foreigners are being exposed to this content. As a result, messaging that was designed for foreign audiences can easily influence American citizens. Given the modern media landscape, this opens the door for foreign targeted public diplomacy to bleed into domestic consumption. And again, there was one part that, if I remember correctly here, the slippery slope. Given the potential for abuse, it's clear that the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act presents a slippery slope. While the law explicitly prohibits the use of government-produced content to influence domestic public opinion, the reality is much more complicated. Platforms like Twitter, X, Facebook, and YouTube do not have geographic borders, and foreign-directed content can easily bleed into domestic discourse if left unchecked, in which it has been. And then this gets into psychological warfare, but I have a video clip from an interview that I did a while back ago. Patriot Donnie says, what happened to after hours? We had Father's Day and we had 4th of July. Like, we want to spend time with our families too, Patriot Donnie. You guys don't panic. It's going to come back. But yeah, we wanted some time with our families. This interview, me and Josh did with the general back in December of 2024. I'm going to play just under 2 minutes for you. Let me read what I wrote. What you don't see is bigger than you think. And this applies to so much, folks. On the AlphaWarrior Show and Red Pill Project, General Flynn exposes the Shadow War, a global fight hidden from the public eye. He unveils how the intelligence community, led by the CIA, RFK Jr. brought them up, operates as an out-of-control fourth branch of the government, threatening our constitutional republic. How much of what we see isn't real? What battles rage in the shadows? You catch the full episode, and I'll drop the full episode in the comments for those that you want to watch it. But take a listen to this video back from December of 2024. And so I say all that to say this, General. The Army released some videos that have been very popular, very cool. Ghost in the Machine 2. But in those videos, it talks about we are everywhere. We are everyone. And so as I mute the world of what's going on and this understanding, that our military is out there, you know, how widespread is it in your opinion, or maybe even your knowledge of them being everywhere? The media, podcasting, so, you know, spaces as influencers, you know, how much is not real of what the public sees is the first question. The second one is, I would imagine that if we're deploying that, it's because we're countering something that the bad guys are doing to have the same effect, but for a nefarious reason. How big is this war that's in the shadows that's going on that your normal American just probably doesn't grasp?
Yeah, it's so the answer to the second question, it's huge, and there is a constant shadows war going on. And remember, the sort of the fourth branch of government is the intelligence community led by, principally the CIA, and they're a global organization that has gotten so far out of control and controlled by a group of elites, and so it's dangerous to our way of life, right? To a citizen's republic, right? To a constitutional republic.
So, folks, remember this: trust but verify. Let's not get away from our roots as people that seek truth. Remember this: is everything fake and gay? No. Is a lot of stuff fake and gay? Yes. But real stuff's happening. And we can't use certain things as an excuse to not dig farther and figure out what our individual responsibility is. Is everything a psyop? I would argue probably. They've taken real situations and modified them to deploy psyops. But at the end of the day, what is the end goal of the deep state? And it's a one world government where humanity has lost the ability to fight for itself and we're enslaved. And we've seen the different apparatuses that they've done to try to get us there, destroy our immunity so we're dependent on them to be able to survive, enslavement, the monetary system, like you name it. This is not a fight that the military alone can win for us, that white hats alone can win for us, that Trump alone can win for us. This requires the collaboration of people and the good guys. But people have to be involved in this. And the very foundation of all this in an information warfare is information. It's not just hearing what Alpha says on the Charlie Kirk trial and being like, yeah, that sounds like legit. No, dig deeper. Don't just listen to Candace Owens. Don't just listen to Tucker Carlson or Benny Johnson or Joe Rogan. Take back the power for yourself. That's what this is all about. If we're in an information warfare and information is the ammo of that warfare, why let me carry it all for you? Then that gives me power of influence over you. Wouldn't you rather us be someone who's fighting shoulder to shoulder? That requires you to do some work. Now, I understand some of you are working 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and you can't, vest all the time that I can and others can. So that's kind of the point of these Just Alpha shows. I am grabbing data points of what I think are important in our area of operation, but you can still take it further. You can still look into it more. What I'm saying is, don't just be an audience member, be an active participant in this war that's going on. And so with that, let's do this. And I think we have some time to get through the coup d'etat part pretty quick. Let me go full screen with myself. And you're going to see a QR code that populates on the screen right about now. There it is. All right, parents. I know the 4th of July has come and gone, but here's something worth thinking about. The fireworks are over. The cookouts are finished and the flags will slowly come down. Don't let them. But America's story is still worth teaching. This year marks America's 250th birthday, and there's never been a better time to help your kids understand the people, principles, and sacrifices that built this country. That's why I wanted to tell you about the free guide called The Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday. It takes kids back to the birth of our nation, introducing them to the founding fathers, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and the incredible courage it took to fight for freedoms we enjoy today. Instead of dry history lessons, it's filled with engaging stories, colorful illustrations, and fascinating facts that make learning about America exciting and memorable. If you want your kids to understand that the 4th of July is about more than fireworks, that it's about freedom, responsibility, and the incredible story of our nation's founding, this is a great place to start. The best part, you can get the Kids Guide to America's 250th birthday completely free with this special offer. Just cover $2 shipping and processing and head over to freeusabirthday.com. That's freeusabirthday.com to claim your free guide today. The celebration may be over, but America's story is still being written. Make sure that the next generation knows how it began. And again, if you're new to the show and you're like, I don't see a QR code, it's because you got to come over here to Rumble, and that link will be down in the description waiting for you guys. Let me get some of my soft disclosure chapstick over there at Badlands Media, softdisclosure.com. Promo code ALPHA. I saw a bunch of you guys went by the chapstick. You guys are rad. I just want to say you guys are so rad. That just gives me bragging rights where I can talk shit to the other Badlanders. Be like, hey, my audience shows up. Where your guys' audience at? So again, softdisclosure.com, promo code ALPHA. Go get yourself some of the goodies there. Now we're going to fly through this next part. Hopefully we can finish it because we're down to, no, we're not, because I want to play that song at the end. So this is what we'll do. We'll cover the coup d'etat in tomorrow's update from the trial, but I'm going to fast forward to, it should be here. I want to make sure we cover this part because I don't want to keep leaving you guys hanging, because I know I hyped it up yesterday and here's the, come on, and I hyped it up that we'd cover it today. So tomorrow we'll do the coup d'etat and some of the comms in day 3 of Charlie's trial. This will be after we do Operation Gladio. So we're still doing Operation Gladio, but then D Patriot says no trial yet. Okay, I'm not tracking. I just get distracted by you guys sometimes, but I want to cover this, and then I'm going to play the song for you guys that I played yesterday for those of you that missed it. What am I talking about? Psalm 1 Anonymous puts 17 quilt panels spelling the word freedom in Morse code. What's he talking about? Right here, folks. Let's go back a post. John Ratcliffe puts, on the eve of our nation's 250th birthday, we proudly share the CIA's freedom quilts. This example of patriotic pride represents the agency's rich history of preserving and protecting America's freedom. Learn more here. And well, if you count, you'll be like, well, no, there's 19. No, there's not. So 17 of these, so right here, all of these except these two. These two represent, we'll get to it. Well, I'll just tell you guys, you have the spear that's going to represent the OSS. And then you have the eagle that represents the modern day CIA. So minus these two, we get to the 17 quilts. What do you mean that spells freedom? Check out this video clip right here that I went and found for you guys. It's out of order, so here it is. This is wild. So again, you have John Ratcliffe, right? The director of the CIA right now, goes and puts this out. 17, folks. 17. Y'all can shit on Q all you want, but they are putting it out there in front of you for those of you that just want to be 17 deniers. But here we go. Freedom Quilt 17. And here is the video. It's about 90 seconds. It's not too long.
Did you know these quilts contain a hidden message? CIA Museum's collection contains many expressions of American patriotism, including this large exhibit of red, white, and blue quilts. The narrow quilt panels represent dots, while the wide quilt panels represent dashes. Each group of panels represents a letter. Together, the panels spell out the word freedom in Morse code. Each panel contains either 2 or 4 white stars for a total of 50 stars, 1 star for each state. Alongside the quilts that spell out freedom, there are 2 additional quilts. One depicts the spearhead insignia of CIA's predecessor, the Office of Strategic Services. The other depicts the eagle head from CIA's official seal. Together, the quilts represent CIA's rich history of preserving and protecting America's freedom.
Now, one, do you think they probably signaled to us? I'm talking to all you digital soldiers, you anons, you decoders. Did the CIA director not just tell you guys, we use Morse code in images? So you all that think you found everything, you better start looking again. And they tapped in how they did it. It's a sequence. Something short's going to represent the dot. Something long's going to represent the line. This is how you're going to break down the Morse code, folks. I think my opinion here, my speculation is that they dropped this hint to tell us you guys missed some things in videos and images that we've shown you. You need to go back and look again. Find the Morse code. Find the messages. I'm only one set of eyes. There's going to be thousands of you that watch this show. Get to work, folks. And when you find it, definitely push it my way. You guys know I have no problem. I give credit to the accounts that post these things, so you guys want to follow them. I mean, they do the work. They should get credit. But again, this was the CIA showing that 17 CAC on these quilt images. But the real thing here is the fact that they're telling us that they code in messages using Morse code into symbolism. So with that, folks, we got a couple of Rumble rants that came in. Let me read this real quick because I want to make sure I give love to the people that support this show. First one coming in, $5 from Lee Walden. Ahoy, Alpha and crew. Watch shooter on the roof. How is it that the security camera panned right of his movement? Is it motion sensitive? Just notice. When you watch the raw footage, there is no motion or zoom. That comes from the edited version. But the actual CC footage itself that we saw that did the motion, and that's how we knew that there was something up here. And that's why if you guys go back and shout out Breadmaker62, just gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you, Breadmaker. Hope you're feeling well. That's why I said very early on, if you guys, for those that go and watch that DEFCON video that me and Josh did on the Charlie Kirk analysis of the shooting, that was literally, 6 days after the assassination. One of the things that I said is we're going to see that this whole video, that they only showed us a clip of it. And I called it back then, folks. This is last year, 6 days following the assassination. I said, you're going to see that there's more to this video, and they're only showing us this portion because they're not trying to compromise the investigation. I go, but if they have this video that covers the entire second of the roof, we're going to see him running on the roof, getting into position and taking the shot. And what did we learn? We see him getting on the roof, running, low crawling, getting into a shooting position, and then running after he takes the shot. And again, it's not because, it's, I can tell the future. This is what I did. Again, 2/3 of my life. So again, thank you for that support there, Lee Walden. And then $5 coming in from the Meerkat. Okay, Alpha, might be a rifle in my pants. I still like my song, but as I've said, you're a damn smart guy, so I'm watching and listening. Soft or hollow point, okay. Next, the jump from the roof. And I'll tell you what, I know, and I saw it in the chat, and I've heard other people post it, that jumping from the roof leads a lot of people to think that there was military training there. I disagree. And the reason I disagree is I think it's the opposite of military training, because again, it's a variable that is, you can't guarantee the outcome. He could have broke his leg jumping down, could have broke his ankle jumping down, which then inhibits his ability to have the escape that he wants. I think a military person probably goes back the same way that they came in. Why? Because they don't want to add more cameras to catch them on their exit. Again, I'm not going to give too much because I'm not trying to set people up on how to commit these crimes. But I don't see military training here, because again, I also think it would have been a different type of weapon system that would. There's just a lot of different things I think would have been deployed if he was a highly trained military person. And I think that if this was an actual agency that deployed an operator to do this, we wouldn't have all the evidence that we have right now. One, he would have been wearing gloves and probably clear latex ones that don't look like gloves on CCT footage. So that's kind of my take on that, Meerkat. And then again, shout out to Breadmaker gifting those 5 subscriptions. And I don't think we had any super chats that came in, but let me double check. No, but again, we did have that cool one that was dropped for us by our brother over there on Rumble. So with that, let me go full screen with me. Let me remove that. And for those of you that saw yesterday's show, you already know the outro song. This is an 80s ballad that I wrote, had AI turn it into a really cool song. So it's pretty awesome. I hope you enjoy it. And in 17 minutes, I didn't plan that. We'll be starting DEFCON Q over there on Badlands Media. So whatever platform you're watching on, make sure you go to Badlands and catch me and Josh on there. I'm sure it's going to be a fun conversation because it always is. So enjoy this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Good night. God bless, and Semper Fi.
Years ago, a fire broke against the night. No crown could own the human soul. No king could take a God-given right. From 13 stars against the dark, from blood and smoke and trembling hands, they signed their names beneath the dream and dared the world to understand. Freedom isn't given, freedom isn't free. Every generation has to choose what tomorrow's gonna be. Factory towns, from city streets and sacred ground, from different blood, from different names. But when the darkness came, we stood the same. At Valley Forge through frozen rain, at Gettysburg through grief and pain, across the beaches through the flame. Ordinary souls became a nation's name. We've been broken, we've been scarred, we've carried freedom through the dark. Said we'd fall, we heard our father's voices call. Stand up, hold the line. This is our moment, this is our time. One voice, one fire, lift this broken world a little higher. United we rise, with the fire of freedom burning in our eyes. The stars still burn. 250 years, and still we never learn to turn. We fight for the weak, we fight for the truth, we fight for the dream. They handed down to me and you, from sea to shining sea. Let every soul be heard. We are still America, and the stars still burn. Whoa, the stars still burn. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. And freedom will return. Now look around, the world is shaking, old illusions breaking down. Fear is sold on every screen, while only people slowly drown. They want us angry, want us divided, brother against brother, side against side. But there's a truth they can't erase. Humanity is one great fight. It ain't left, it ain't right. When children cry in the dead of night, it ain't your color, blood or name. A human There are names carved into stone. There are letters never sent. There are empty chairs at tables where a mother still remembers them. There are flags folded into triangles. There are boots that never came back home. There are fathers in old photographs whose children had to grow alone. So don't tell me freedom costs nothing. Don't tell me